Welcome to the 90 Days to Freedom introductory video course. I'm so glad that you've made this decision to join me in this course to overcome your pornography addiction. I understand that a pornography addiction can take control of your entire life, and the fact that you've put your trust in me to provide you with a way out is very humbling. Your trust in me is something that I don't take lightly. And with that understanding, I will make every attempt to provide you with the best that I have to offer. But in return, I'm going to ask you for your best. This course is something that you're going to have to be an active participant in. I can provide you with all the information that has allowed me and many others to overcome a pornography addiction. But if you do nothing with this information, you'll be in the same place you were before this program started. So make a commitment that you will give this process your best. I know if you will give this program your best, you will see positive results. If you are having a hard time believing in yourself, believing that you can do this, believe that I believe that you can do it. And just take this program one day at a time. And by the end, even if you haven't fully overcome your addiction, you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that light is your freedom. You may be thinking, I've tried everything and nothing has worked. So why should I believe that this course is going to be any different? You may also be thinking, he doesn't even know me. So how can he even believe that I have the ability to overcome this addiction? As for the first question, I only have the fact that this is the same process that I used and many others have used to overcome their addictions. And everyone that has put this process into effect, they've gotten the same result, which is they have overcome their addiction. Now, to answer the second question, I'm going to do a little visual lesson here to show you, even though I don't know you, I know that you are capable of overcoming your pornography addiction. If you watch the introductory video, you'll know that I talked a little bit about how the process of this will help uncover who you really are. And that person, that ability to understand who you really are is something that we all have. So let me go on with this visual that I wanted to create for you today. Now, pretend that in your hand you have a basketball, and this basketball is going to represent the proton of a hydrogen atom. Now, if this is the proton of the hydrogen atom, then the electron would be over a mile away. Now, if you look at this proton and then the electron is over a mile away and that electron is smaller than the proton, it would look like that there's a lot of empty space in this atom. We would have this nucleus, tons of empty space, and then the electrons circling around it. Now, from this perspective, we begin to see that although the world around us may appear to be solid, most of it is actually empty space. Even your body is mostly empty space. So why is there all this empty space? What's the purpose? Well, if you were to ask a quantum physicist that question, the response from the physicist would be that there actually isn't any empty space. That the empty space is actually filled with something. Now, that physicist would call that something energy. So if you were to then take a look back at your body, you would realize that your body is mostly made up of energy. Now, if you were to take the same question of what fills this empty space and ask a theologian, what fills that empty space? The theologian would tell you that this empty space is filled with the Spirit of God. So this spirit or energy has been called by numerous names by many people, from the Spirit of God from religious people to energy on the side of science. Some have even called it universal spirit, divinity, source, substance, your higher self. There's been many names. Whatever it may be called doesn't really matter. And you can refer to it in whatever manner or fashion that you feel most comfortable with. But what you do have to realize and what you have to understand is important is that there is some kind of energy or spirit that is in all those empty spaces that fill up the entire universe. Now, I want to go over a few terms just to make sure that we understand them. We'll talk about these here and there throughout the course. So I want to present them to you so that you can begin to understand them. The first one is omnipresent. Now, omnipresent means everywhere present at any moment and through all time. So you pick any point in space, you pick any time, and that would be on in any point in time and all points of time, that would be omnipresent. So this spirit that I've been talking about, this energy is everywhere present and is everywhere present at all times. There's never a space and there's never a time where this spirit or energy doesn't exist. So the important thing to understand about that is that right now, inside of you and throughout your entire life, before now and even into the future, this spirit or energy has existed and will always exist. Now, the next term that I want to talk about is omniscient. And omniscient means all knowing or having all knowledge. So not only is this energy everywhere at all times, but if you talk to physicists, quantum physicists, they'll talk about how this spirit, this energy, this substance contains all possibilities. And because it contains all possibilities, that means it contains all knowledge. All knowledge that has ever existed or will ever exist exists within this substance. And so we would call that being omniscient. Now, the next one, the phrase that I want to talk about is omnipotent. Now, if you know anything about the atom and the energy that's in the atom, you'll know that when you break that atom and that energy is released, it's a massive amount of energy. And you can see that in like nuclear power and also in the nuclear bomb. You know, all that energy that's released in a nuclear bomb, it's because they're breaking apart that atom and that energy is being released. So you could see how much power resides in these atoms. And so when I say omnipotent, I mean that within these, this power, this energy, this spirit that exists within these is all powerful. It has the power to govern all the reactions of the chemical and electrical worlds. It's the force that governs the laws of nature, and it's the power by which all the planetary bodies have their movement. And so from the atom all the way up to the universe and everywhere in between, this is the power that's behind all things. This spirit or energy is also transmutable, and this is the last term that I want to go over, transmutable. And transmutable means that it can go from one state to another. And when we're talking about this spirit, this energy, it means that it can go from the energetic world, that spirit world, to the physical world, and it can go back again. Now, if you're thinking, Matt, that might sound a little bit crazy, we actually see this process in action every day in quite a few different ways. You probably just don't realize what's happening. Now, if you look at the sun as it's giving off light and coming to the earth, a plant can take that sunlight, that energy, and transmute that into the physical world as it grows, as it becomes something more. Now, it does add that to other things like the soil, the water, different kinds of things, but that invisible light, so to speak, that energy, it takes that and it makes it into something more. It transmutes it into the physical world. Now, let's take all of this that we've been talking about and let's apply it to ourselves, because all this knowledge may be great, it may sound nice and neat and stuff, but unless you can take it and somehow apply it to your life, it's not really usable. And so because this spirit is everywhere, and because it's everywhere, it permeates our entire body. All the empty spaces of our body is filled with this spirit. Now, to kind of maybe give you a little bit of understanding of how much empty space is in your body, if you were to take all the empty space out of your body, all the empty spaces in those atoms, you would be less than a speck of dust. That's how big you would be. And if you were to take every human being that's living on this planet and you were to take all the empty spaces out of us, we would feel less than a sugar cube. So that's how much empty space exists in our bodies. And because the spirit is omnipotent and it's omniscient, it means that right now you have access to all knowledge that has ever existed or ever will exist, and that you have access to all power that has ever existed or will exist. And also that this power is what gives you life. from the breath that you breathe. And when you breathe in, all those particles and stuff are filled with this substance. The food that you eat is filled with this. All of it is filled with this power that permeates and penetrates the entire universe. And because this energy is transmutable, it means that if we know how to work with this power, we can use it to shape and create the life that we want around ourselves. Now, humanity has already done this to some extent. When you look at electricity, we have taken the power that exists all around us, and we have harnessed that power to power all of the technology and electronics that we have around us. But beyond that, this power is available to each individual that knows how to interact with this energy or spirit according to the laws that govern it, because there are specific laws that govern this substance. And once you learn those laws, you can use this power to create anything that you can imagine in your mind. Now, because I understand that this power is everywhere and it is available to every person, it's within every person, that is how I know that you have the ability to overcome your addiction, that you have access to this same power that I have access to, and that as you wake up to understand who you really are and that you have access to this power, you can use that to overcome your addiction. But not only that, you can use it to do just about anything that you want in your life. Remember, as I said, anything that you can imagine, you can do. Now, two more items that I want to mention before I end this video. The first is the idea surrounding God. Now, if you aren't religious or you don't believe in a God, this program will still work for you. One thing that is needed is recognizing this power, this substance that I've been talking about does exist. And if you don't believe that, just go study a little bit about quantum physics. Now, they don't talk anything about God, but they recognize that there is some power here. There is some energy that exists. But beyond that, you are free to refer to this power, this substance, in whatever way you feel most comfortable with. Now, for me personally, I have a religious background, and so I may refer to these things using words like God or spirit, but I will also try to use terms like energy or source or the universe to help you as you go through this course, to help you to connect with and understand this energy more deeply. Now, Shakespeare in his play Romeo and Juliet wrote, "A rose by any other name would smell as sweet." The idea Shakespeare was expressing was that you could call something anything that you wanted, but it wouldn't change the natural properties of that thing. And the same holds true with this spirit or energy that exists throughout all things. Call it what you want, it doesn't change what it is. And secondly, I want to touch again on the idea of the trust that you have placed in me. Again, I don't take this trust lightly, but I want to express to you my philosophy when I approach new ideas. Whether those new ideas are coming from a speaker, a course, or a book, or even from a loved one. When a new idea is expressed to me, I will see how I can apply that principle or idea in my life. And I will make my best attempt at applying that principle. Now, if applying that principle in my life produces good results, I then accept that idea as true and continue applying it in my life and reaping the results. But if the results from applying that principle produce results that I don't want, then I can know one of two things is going on. Either I'm applying the principle incorrectly and I need to revisit the idea, or that idea is a false one and I can discard it from my life. Now, I suggest as you go through this course that you set aside any prejudices or difficulties that you may have had with any of these principles that I'm going to present to you, or even if they're just new. Try them, apply them in your life, and see what results they bring. Now, I know that these principles work. They've worked for me and they've worked for many other people. And those people that have applied them have received the results that they expected to receive. Now, when you use these principles, you'll find freedom from your addiction as well. Now, with that understanding and with this, I look forward to sharing more with you and continuing on this journey with you as you seek to overcome your addiction. So I will see you on the next video.